say silly games of second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn, because one street over there's a life I could have known, would have kept me from the one I had today.
You don't have the mics on, turn them on. Hey, y'all, this is LaVern. I'm U-Turn LaVern. This is One Street Over, and this is 1100 WSGI. Let's get that official ID in here, and let's just turn this microphone on, get Ryan Martin in here. Hello.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. I'm ready for it, man.
Well,
I'm just, got that bright blue on. I was trying to find something brighter to wear today, and I was just like, I'm just going to be brown, just kind of earthy tones today. But I like the springy kind of pop of color, and
I'm ready for spring.
I am too.
I am 70-degree weather, just suits me fine. I'm over the 30 degrees and snow and all of that, so bring on the sunshine and warm weather.
Amen, amen. And it's supposed to be 70 today.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Great.
We've got to go to the ballpark in Mount Juliet tonight. Game starts at 7:30. This baseball stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we didn't play baseball when my kids were little, is because it's just so time consuming. And I love you dearly, but baseball parents are crazy. I mean, you just buy all the time. I've got my 3 grandkids in Mount Juliet have 5 sports.
Oh my goodness.
There's no way I can get to everything, but we are going to go see Rowan play baseball tonight. So we're going to be sleepy tomorrow.
Well, as a baseball coach, I'll plead the fifth and not say anything, because my team has the greatest parents. They never act
just
up,
teasing.
No,
and I don't mean it crazy. I mean the way that they're just like in the ballpark all the time. I don't mean it as, I'm talking about,
that's where I was going
let's just play 10 games a week. It's okay. We don't have to do anything else but play baseball.
Right.
Oh, anyway, do you coach your kid?
I do.
How old is he?
I do. He's 7.
Oh, see, my grandson's 8.
Oh, really?
And the one that's playing baseball. And I had not planned on going. It's like I normally am at the Celebrate Recovery at Epiphany on Tuesday night. And because I'm an assistant track coach, I'm missing the Saturday games right now. And so if I want to see my grandson play ball, got to go on the weeknight games. Yeah. So I went. Now, Mark had a track meet because he's assistant track coach at Springfield. So, and his kiddos, by the way, that he did shot put and disc came in first.
Oh, wow.
How about that?
Congratulations.
But, I know Dossett was one of them, and I don't know what the other one's was, but the other one's name was, but he may have won both. I'm not sure, but so proud of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, trying to keep that schedule, but I drove to Mount Juliet and skipped CR on Tuesday night. I'm sorry, guys, but I got to see my grandson hit a home run.
Oh, nice.
And that was so exciting, with those pencil bats. And who knew a pencil bat was a thing? And it looks like a pencil, y'all.
It does. That's the
great.
thing.
And they have crayon bats, but I can't see any of the boys with crayon bats out there. Most of them pencil bats, right?
Pencil bats, that's a trend. Kids love those.
Funny.
And it's a lot of fun. I think the kids enjoy it.
Yeah.
Our season, we play in Springfield at the City League, and we're opening day is Saturday, and so it'll be a huge day at Travis Price.
Oh, yeah.
Be thousands of people out there,
Yes.
a lot of parents, grandparents, all the kids. They do a little ceremony. So it's we're hoping the rain. I looked at the weather last night. I'll talk to Terry today because it looks like it's going to rain. So we'll need to pray some rain away and allow us to get some ceremonies and games in on Saturday. But it's usually a pretty big day. And we're playing 2 sports right now. This is the first time we've done that. We're playing baseball and flag football with the Robertson County Sports Alliance. And so my son wanted to do both. And so it's busy time.
That's what my 8-year-old grandson's doing. He has flag football on Sunday afternoon. So since we can't get there on Saturday for baseball, except what we can do during the week, then we went to the flag football game on Sunday. They had their first one at Mount Juliet. And, oh, my goodness, that's different. Yeah. I mean, my husband played football through college. I have a kid that played all through college. I mean, we were a football family. I didn't know anything about football until I married, but it's different than football.
It's different.
Yeah, it's very different, but it's good. I mean, it gets kids out there and just anything to get them busy.
That's right.
So, I mean, just to get them athletic. I mean, just to push that athleticism and
get them off a screen.
Yes.
Get them away from the couch and outside.
Get them moving.
Yep, that's
it's
exactly
all
right.
good. But I do think y'all play too many baseball games. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but they're making me into a baseball fan. I was never.
Really?
And I never watched baseball. I thought I was just bored it was not my thing. I was basketball. And that's the only thing I knew. So we had it in where I grew up for girls to do. I guess we had softball. Yeah, I know Dina, my friend back home. She's like, softball, LaVern. But I never got into any of that. I was I played basketball kind of for something to do.
Sure.
So I've never been a person that liked to watch sports.
Gotcha.
But if I got a dog in the race, I will be, go, baby. Anyway, everybody's like, okay, Ryan's in here. Let him talk about the mayor and alderman meeting. Did y'all meet this week or last week?
Last week, yeah.
Okay, even though it was spring break, because I know county commissioners met this week, which I was really surprised. I thought they were meeting last week. They ended up meeting this week. They changed it because they had so many that were out of town.
Gotcha.
But so y'all did have your meeting.
We did.
I heard y'all met about you had some stuff about the development too.
We did. So it was a big meeting. It was we had very, very short meetings in January and February. That's generally the case that time of year, as business is a little slower and there's not as much, of our routine. It's just routine business that we have to do. We had some things that had come before the board this time that were pretty big, especially as we lead into budget season, which we're getting into, and I'll talk a little bit about that too. First thing on the agenda that we had was our legacy golf rates. And so we're going to do another increase of $5 around there. That was recommended by the management company. We are still, that would put us on the weekend at $69 for 18 holes as the retail rate, which is significantly lower than our competitors. Which, golf courses and 12 Stones, Gaylord Springs, those courses that the Legacy actually competes with. I mentioned that to say $5 is $5. Nobody wants to pay more, but as costs continue to go up, we've had a major, for those that have been playing the Legacy lately, you've seen the major pond project that we have going on with our irrigation system. We're having to dredge out a pond and had a leak in that pond. And so it's been about a $500,000 project this year. Now, the good news is the Legacy was just named, and I'm going to get the numbers wrong because I didn't write it down, but I think the number 6 top-rated public course in the state to play. Public meaning anybody can walk up and play, right? And it was, I think, 28th on the list of the top 100 golf courses in Tennessee, which would include the private courses, the high-end
wow,
courses.
That's huge.
That's a big deal. That shows what an asset that we have in Springfield. That people do travel. I mean, I find it interesting to see the license plates in the parking lot of people that drive to play the Legacy. And that's why our competitor courses are Gaylord Springs and 12 Stones and Greystone and some of those other courses in the region that because of the caliber and tier of course. So we're really proud of that.
It's beautiful. It is a beautiful course.
It is. It's absolutely a beautiful course, and Cornerstone does a great job keeping it in great shape. I will say that in preliminarily talking about the budget, the course, a lot of people ask, say, well, how much does the city have to subsidize the course? Well, on an operating basis, for the last 2 years, the city hasn't had to subsidize the course. The course has paid for itself. Now, the city has put some money into some capital improvement like cart path or purchasing a new fleet of carts or something like that. But for upcoming next year, it looks like preliminary numbers look like that the golf course is going to pay for itself entirely and possibly return a few dollars back to the city coffers. And so that's a big deal for a golf course. For a golf course to be able, the city subsidized the golf course for a long time, and for now the golf course to subsidize the city.
That's pretty cool.
That's a big deal.
So what is the deal then with this project and the pond project? Who paid for that?
We do. The city does. Yeah.
The city does.
Yeah.
So that's a capital improvement.
That's a capital
basically?
improvement. And so that's that. So on an operating basis in this fiscal year, the golf course will. And what I mean,
because of that, probably.
So the city will have to subsidize that, a portion of that via the, not all of it, but a portion of that, the capital project. When I say operating basis, I'm talking about what it takes to operate the course on a daily basis versus what the course brings in.
Gotcha.
So not any one-time big expenditures like a pond project or cart path so for the last 2 years on an operating from an NOI standpoint, operating basis, the golf course has, I don't want to say use the term made money because that's not true, but on paper, the golf course has brought in more than it costs to operate the golf course.
So in the event that it continues to grow and become more popular as these, as it gets this ranking, if they start making money, will that money come back to the city then to help
does.
offset those capital projects
It
that they've
does.
done? That's cool.
Goes into the general fund.
Okay.
So it's all general fund. So, for instance, let's say that, and I forget what the actual budget numbers look like. Of course, there's not been an approved budget. We just looked at some preliminary
Right.
numbers, but let's say that it's going to cost capital and everything. The golf course is estimated to bring in $1,000 more than it's going to cost.
Right.
Well, that $1,000 would go back in the general fund and is going to, pay for a police officer salary
Sure,
or something like that.
sure.
So the golf course would, as the golf course continues, as the golf game, and the game of golf since COVID has really grown a lot.
Yeah.
And so that's really helped. It also helps to have one of the best courses in Tennessee right here, right, where people drive and desire to play here. So that's a nice place to be in, where the golf course the city's not subsidizing the golf course as an asset anymore. The golf course is helping to subsidize the city.
I had to drive. I happened to be in Franklin late yesterday and had to drive past a course. I think it was a private course, and I thought that ain't as pretty as ours, and it was covered up. I couldn't believe it. People are just. I've never played golf. It's never been something on my radar, but it just. I mean, people love it, and man, with this ranking, I think it's going to bring more people in, so it could become a real moneymaker.
Yeah, we were. I think we got as high one year as number 3 in the state.
Oh,
I think
wow.
that was 2019 or 2020.
Mm-hmm.
In as far as public courses go, we're all Legacy's always in the
highly
top
ranked,
10,
Yeah.
and so it'll fluctuate a little bit. But to be able to stay consistently in that top 10 in public courses in the state of Tennessee, and it's a big deal. I think. I mean, the golf course may hit $2 million in revenue this year.
Wow.
Which is, I mean, the game of golf's exploded. And so I think a lot of golf courses are doing well. The problem is the costs have gone up.
Yeah.
I mean, costs have gone up to keep staff. That's a labor,
Yeah.
as we've talked about before, there's not as many folks that want to get outside and get dirty that are coming out of high school anymore, and with groundskeepers and things like that. So from a staffing perspective, from an equipment perspective, it costs a lot. And then of course the golf course is nearing about 30 years old. And so it's irrigation issues and things like that will crop up, and things will have to be fixed.
Well, very good. And I know we got to move on, so let's go. What else you got?
Yeah. So we also did a codification update of our municipal code. It's been a long time since we've done that. We've been working through that process for a few years.
Explain that, because I don't understand what you mean.
Yeah. So think about when you have state statutes, the state legislature passes a law.
Okay.
Well, that law has to go somewhere so you can find it, and it gets codified into what's called the Tennessee Code or Tennessee Code Annotated.
Yes.
Okay, and people are familiar with that.
Right.
The TCA. Well, for us, it's the Springfield Municipal Code. When the Board of Mayor and Alderman passes an ordinance, it needs to go somewhere. If it's a codifiable rule, right? So some ordinances like the legacy fees aren't going to go into the municipal code, but things that are codified as part of your regulations will go into a codification system, the municipal code. And it's been a while since we've done that. We entered into a contract last year. I think our last codification actually was 2018. So what we have is a 2018 codified code where you can go and find, 8-201, 8-202, 8-203. And then we have ordinances that are uncodified that are on our website that haven't been made part of that document. So we're incorporating everything. Plus we had to modernize. We had, our code hadn't been updated. You've probably heard these stories from other states like Mississippi or Arkansas, where they had these old antiquated city ordinances. You can't walk on the east side of the street and chew gum on Sunday between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
We didn't have any quite like that, but we had some ordinances that were either preempted now by state law and have been preempted.
Mm-hmm.
There were things that talked about a city workhouse. We don't have a city workhouse or jail, that sort of thing. Just a lot of antiquated stuff that had to be modernized and updated. So what's the result? I know that's a lot of boring stuff. What's the result? The result is an online, very easily to search municipal code for the public.
Okay.
That's the result. I mean, really, that was the intent to go. It used to be a PDF that you clicked on and you could scroll through. Now we're going to have a searchable function, and it will be updated more regularly. It'll be automatically recodified with updates with the new company that we're with.
Okay.
And so it's basically, if you wanted me to boil it down, it's convenience and transparency.
Gotcha.
That's the reason we're doing this.
Yeah.
That's what you've heard, that's our kind of our thing, is we want to be transparent. We want to serve folks. And so we want to make it easy. We don't want you to have to know the magic words and magic password to find out what the city regulations are. We want to make it easy for you.
What's the difference between ordinances and laws?
So an ordinance
I know I'm going down a rabbit hole, but I'm just curious. I don't really know how to define it.
An ordinance is a local law. So the ordinances are the city laws, if you will.
Okay.
Right. And so
just another way to say it.
it's
Yeah, all the
regulations,
same
laws,
thing.
it's all the same
Gotcha.
thing.
Okay. I wasn't sure if there was a difference or not, but they still hold they hold the weight of those who set them, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this is an ordinance, and if you break this ordinance law, then the penalty is $20, or it could be $200 based upon what they said, or it could be, get out of here. you know. Okay. Good
Yeah.
deal.
So it's all the same, federal, state, and local level. Legislative bodies have to pass laws, and so
right.
it's Congress, and it's the
Right.
General Assembly, and it's the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Yeah.
Right. So
Schoolhouse Rock got me straight on that one when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Schoolhouse Rock's got me how a bill becomes law.
How a bill
man.
becomes a law,
You know,
yeah.
we all, well, I don't know, my age, my generation, that's what we grew up on. But I was never really sure, but thank you for clarifying
yeah,
that.
it's a
for us.
fancy way of saying it's a local regulation or local law.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
What else you got for us?
Well, we the Board of Mayor and Aldermen took up the annexation of the property off of South Main, which is known as Vesper Village, the proposed Vesper Village development. They took that up on first reading and passed that. Based on the Planning Commission had taken it up earlier in the month, and I think recommended unanimously that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen approve it. Lots of great discussion, lots of great questions happened at that Planning Commission meeting. I think that was about a 2-hour Planning Commission meeting.
Wow.
A lot of discussion, a lot of things. Quite a bit of interest, a lot of good questions by the Planning Commission. It was a very informative meeting to sit through, and then the Board of Mayor and Aldermen took that recommendation from the Planning Commission. I think they had some questions based on some questions that come up and concerns in particular areas, and one of those is South Main. I mean, South Main needs sidewalks. I mean, that's something that is a growing issue, and sidewalks end, I think, at 18th or 19th Avenue. And so, ideally, there was a plan originally, part of the Greenway master plan, to take the Greenway down South Main all the way to MLK Park. That's where the Greenway's supposed
that'd
to
be
end.
wonderful.
So it's from Bransford. Well,
Yeah.
the Vesper Village folks are proposing to take it across their development from Bransford. So the Greenway right now ends at Bransford, and the last phase was supposed to connect to MLK.
Okay.
The Vesper Village folks are proposing they'd like to take the Greenway across their property and put that in, and which obviously saves the taxpayers a lot of money, right, for us. And so we need to figure out what to do about sidewalks. And so that came up, and I think they've pledged to help out with that on their property that abuts South Main. So the board passed that on first reading. It will go before them again on second reading in April. We have ordinances, back to ordinances.
yeah.
We have ordinances are required to have 2 readings. So they which means they get voted on twice. And so it was voted on in March. It'll be voted on again in April.
And since you mentioned sidewalks, if I don't bring this up, my husband will get me because he's like, ask Ryan. And I'm like, why do we not have sidewalks over by Springfield High School for the kids? He teaches at Springfield High School, and he's like, those kids need sidewalks out there. And he's like, why don't we have sidewalks at Springfield High School?
So
And I don't know.
I don't
said,
know
I'll
either.
ask. Yeah.
So that's Highway 76, which is a state highway.
That's
So
kind of what I figured.
yeah, so I don't know, like, for instance, when the state redid, and I don't want to get too far into that to speak for the state because that's probably a better question for TDOT, but when they did 431, they put sidewalks in on both sides all the way down, right? All the way, when they widened it, and did that widening on Tom Austin, there's sidewalks on both sides.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't.
Who? Because he's one of these people. He's like, we need to know who to talk to because those kids. Because he goes, there's kids that need to be able to walk through there.
Yeah.
And he's like, we got to figure out who to talk to get sidewalks through there.
I don't know why that did not happen, and I don't know to whom that would fall now.
Yeah.
As far as responsibility wise.
Yeah.
So
It's
I don't know.
not
That's
a city thing.
Well, it's not. I think that the answer might be that the state might say, well, if the city wants to, they can. So that may be the case, and so that might be a conversation to be had with TDOT first. A lot of great folks that work for TDOT.
Yeah.
We've got a great local. Our public works department works with them, and I mean, you see the work that they do with the snow and ice. So a lot of great folks and good folks to work with that really care about the community.
So if somebody from TDOT says you can if you want to, then what do we do?
Well, then we'd have to talk about that at the city level and see and kind of evaluate it, do a cost estimate. And that's kind of been part of the issue when South Main first came up. When South Main first came up, it was based on the sort of the topography and the terrain there, it was going to be tough. it's always harder to go back and put the sidewalks in than it is
I can
to
imagine.
put them in when the road when
I
when
can
the road
imagine,
project
yeah.
is happening, right? And I believe that's
You
why.
got drainage, you got all kinds of stuff, people's property,
That's right.
you name it.
If there's not enough right of way, you got to purchase the right of way.
Yep.
There's drainage ditches there, and so you're talking about installing, that stormwater infrastructure, curb and gutter, and so it's more expensive to go back and do it later. And so the sidewalks currently end at I think it's 18th or 19th. I was just looking at it the other day when I was driving through there. And I think it's 18th or 19th Avenue is when it ends. And so looking at that stretch, I think an estimate a couple of years ago on that, because this came up even before Vesper Village was talked about, and it was $3 or $4 million.
Wow.
It's an expensive project, and
Right.
so it's tough to with some projects that were ahead of that, but it's something that we're going to look for. For instance, we've talked about, I think it came up at the meeting or came up at the planning commission meeting, that the system development fees from the development would help pay for sidewalks on South Main to finish that out.
Okay.
So there's creative ways to try to get it done. It's something that we really want to do, that needs to be done. Because it's tough, and for a residential area, there's people that walk through there, and
You better
it
believe it.
needs to be safer than it is.
Right. And we're talking with Ryan Martin. He is our city manager here in Springfield. If you have any questions, you can, of course, put them up in comments, or you can just reach out to him in his office. All doors are always open. What else you got for us? I want to make sure we get through it here.
Yeah.
So,
A few more things. So the board also took up requests from citizens on Gulfview Lane. Gulfview Lane is having a on-street parking issue.
oh, yeah.
And that's one of those things that, when you have older city streets, right, or narrower city streets and larger vehicles that don't fit in driveways. I mean, today's, what's the best way to put it? I think I've said it before, like I had a 93 Chevrolet Silverado when I was growing up. And so a 93 Silverado is the same size as a small pickup truck today, right? A
Yes,
full-size
it is,
pickup
yeah.
truck in the 90s.
Monster.
So,
yeah.
so vehicles have grown in size a lot. And so you end up with, when people are parking on both sides of the street, you end up with an issue for residents. You end up with an issue with blocked driveways. You end up with potential issue for emergency vehicles. So they had requested through their alderman for our traffic committee to look at Gulfview Lane, because we've looked at some other areas in the city, and the traffic committee came back with a recommendation to eliminate on-street parking in that area, and so the board of mayor and aldermen approved that recommendation from the traffic committee. So that'll be going into effect pretty soon.
So no, they're not going to have any on-street parking.
No on-street parking. You'll have to park in your driveway.
Okay.
Because, and I don't know, I don't know, the question comes up, well, what about a guest? What about something? I think it's trying to eliminate. I think one of the pictures that were shown that I saw was, there are cars on both sides, and you couldn't, if people were coming both ways, or if a fire truck was trying to come through there, it's dangerous, because then the emergency responders can't get to you.
Well, I know we go down, I guess it's Oak Street that goes down to Epiphany, because I make that little rat, all
Sure.
the time. And there's cars on both sides of the road. And if I'm coming, especially when I'm coming out after CR on Tuesday nights, when I have to stop to let another car through, because we both can't get through at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a common thing. So I just can't imagine. And some of those houses don't even have driveways,
That's true.
and that's what's in the historic district. They don't even have driveways.
And that's one of the challenges of the historic district,
Yeah,
and
I'm
that's come
sure.
up a few times,
I'm
that
sure.
it's hard to, limit or eliminate on-street parking in the historic district, because there are some houses, because you're talking about, that's one of the original areas of the city.
Yeah,
I mean, you go back
yeah.
150 years. I was looking at a map the other day. It's just sidetrack, but the original map, there's a recreation of it, of the parcels that were initially established to the city of Springfield in 1819.
Wow.
And so it was wild. Yeah, it's designated for the court square and all that stuff. But yeah, so you're talking about, we're an old city, and sometimes we have old problems,
Yeah,
and that's one of them.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's interesting. I'm sure I'll be interested to see how that neighborhood adapts, without the on-street parking, though, because I know I don't have to worry about it, because I live out in the country, but you live in the city, what you going to do with your vehicles, especially if you have multiple vehicles?
It's a tough, really tough
for
thing.
sure. What else you got for us?
So I want to mention a couple of things before we wrap up. That junk collection. So junk collection will begin on April the 1st. That is next week. And our Public Works Department, you put your junk by the curb. You can visit our website to find out what all is collectible and what is not. But it is junk collection month in April and October each year. We only collect junk for the months of April and October, and you can put it out by the curb. And we'll get it unless somebody beats us to it, which happens. I put out some stuff last year, and I came back the next day, and half of it was gone, and half of it was there, and I was like, okay, well, somebody wanted to try to rework that, or or fix that and make it. And so you might have somebody come in, and I was like, maybe I should have sold it. I don't know, but anyway,
that's funny.
It's number one question that we get asked, LaVern, is well, when will they be at my house?
Yeah.
The answer is yes. Right? And so kind of the way that works is we have routes, and we just continuously run the route, and so there's not really a good way of knowing when we will be at your house. It depends on how much junk has to be picked up in front of you, because if no one has any junk, it'll be the first day, because we'll be able to just ride the route all day long, and maybe the first day they get to your house. If everybody on the beginning part of the route all the way up has junk, it may be a week or so before they get to your house, but they will continuously run the route. I would ask that you have all of your junk out by the middle of the month. I mean, we have it's always tough because there's sometimes a mad rush to try to put it out on the 30th of April, and wow, I'm going to miss the last day, and we'll try to get everybody, but we do stop junk collection on April the 30th. So we don't pick up junk in May, and so it's tough. So please get your junk out as soon as possible. It's a great service that we provide. It's available to all the residents, and so please do that. Yeah.
What can they not put out there?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Because I know there's some
there's
things.
a list. Yeah. There's a list, and I'd be afraid to get it wrong.
Sure, I got you. But you can probably go online and
obviously
find it.
Hazardous substances and things like that.
Okay.
But I don't want to get that wrong and mislead somebody and say, well, Ryan said that
I got you.
So that list is on our website. You can also contact our Public Works Department. If you're not an internet person, you can call 615-384-2746 and talk to our folks at the Public Works Department. They'll be glad to.
One more time.
615-384-2746.
Very good.
And they'll be glad to help you out. Last thing I have to mention is our cleanup day, kind of in conjunction with Earth Day and junk collection, everything, all of that sort of theme happens in April. Our community cleanup day, which we have every year, is on Saturday, April the 26th. That registration may be live, but pay attention to our social media and register. We usually have hundreds of community volunteers and a lot of our staff that go out, and we're thankful to TVA and Larry's Restaurant for sponsoring that event and partnering with us. So we provide all of the supplies, free breakfast for participants, and it's a good thing, and it's easy on you. All you have to do is show up. You register in advance, show up, get your route with you and your whoever you signed up with, or if you're signing up by yourself, we'll partner you with a group with a route, so you're not going to be out somewhere by yourself picking up 5 miles of road by yourself. We our Public Works Director assigns those out and schedules those routes, and so you go pick up. It's an hour or two, and you can, once you fill up a bag, you leave it on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Our Public Works Department will pick it up. So you don't have to do anything with the trash. Once you pick it up and fill up a bag, tie it off and leave it.
What cracks me up is that it's time for it again. It seems like we were just talking about this. My goodness, time flies. I was like, really? Is it time? Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I got tickled here. Terry Shrum says, you can always bring your junk to Shrum Auto Salvage. Yes, you can. Love you, Shrums. And we take our, we've got an old car that my son left on our back lot that needs to go there right now. but yeah, absolutely. And I love you, Terry. That was funny. But she's like, bring it to Shrums.
That's right.
So you can do it. But there's Mr. Pulley. You got anything else?
That's it.
Before we wrap up,
that's it. Follow us on social media.
I had asked you, did y'all not talk a little bit about the development out here off the new Parkway? I forget what it's called. The one that's coming in over the next 10 years, and it's like, I can't think of the name of it. It's big development. You said might bring in Publix and all.
Oh, that's
what is it called?
Vesper Village. That's the one we're talking about. Yeah, that's Vesper.
Okay,
that's the one over here. Yeah.
I didn't realize that's the one you were talking about. Yeah. I can't keep my name straight. I was thinking there was another one. I thought there was two, but Vesper Village is that development.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Now I got it straight. Somebody was asking me about it the other day, and I couldn't remember. Yeah. And but I mean, we're excited about that. When are they going to start?
So, assuming they get approved at second reading in April, that would be their final approval and entitlement as far as annexation and zoning goes. And so they were asked that question at the Planning Commission meeting, and maybe the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. I think dirt starts turning in in the fall, maybe.
Okay.
And it's going to be, it'll be a little bit. I mean, none of this is a 20-year thing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not going to happen fast. And so it's not going to, there's a lot of people that are really excited about the prospects of what is going to happen there. And,
Yeah.
and I had to tell somebody last week, I said, look, it's not going to happen fast, right? Don't
Right.
don't expect the commercial aspects and things like that to happen overnight. And that's what a lot of people are really excited about. And so I said, we're talking about years. It's
Right.
going to take. That's just it's a larger.
62, so it'll be late in my life before I see it come to. But I'm excited for my kids because I think it will draw some of mine back, maybe, because I've got they like being in town. I can't believe I raised them, but they like being in town. But there was one other question I had, and it escaped me. I had one other thing for you, but I'll think of it and ask you later.
Okay.
I can't remember what it was, but Brian, he came in and I got distracted. But anyway, thank you as
Good.
always.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Anytime, you let me know. And thank you for adjusting your schedule for us. Normally, he is in the Wednesday after the mayor and alderman meeting. So that's when you can usually hear from Ryan, but you can always reach out to his office and find out anything you need to know. I'm going to let Brian Pulley make his way in from United Way and remind you that we want you to check out everything that Barry and Rebecca Richards have to offer. They are great friends of this program, wonderful help in real estate. They work with the Exit team. They were with the Garden Gate team for many, many years. Rebecca went to work with Exit when she was going into real estate full-time after being in radiology and being a mom and all those things many years ago. She's been at this a long time. She's one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. But when she was looking for a company to join, she's like, I had a list of things that I needed them to do. I had a list of things boxes I needed them to check off on because I knew what I needed to be successful. And that's why she went with Exit Realty then. And so she and Barry, a little over a year and a half ago, got together with her agency office, his brokerage office is here in Springfield, her agency office is in White House, his brokerage office here in town. And then they brought you a new branch in the Exit tree. They are now Exit Prime Realty. You can look them up and find all kinds of things going on with, as far as they've got web pages, Facebook pages, and you can find out more about them, the historical properties they've handled, Barry's marketing background, which is just priceless when you're trying to sell property. That they live in Cross Plains. They're Cross Plainians, have been there for nearly 30 years. They are founding board members and sponsors for the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival coming up May 16th and 17th. I'll be there. Love that and just love how involved they are in the community. If you want to give them a call, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. You will find them as well, just specializing in Robertson County properties, but also buying, selling in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. They are just experts at it all. Again, that phone number is 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Go to sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buy, B-U-Y, robertsoncounty.com. Let them know you turned 60. They're talking to Ryan. I thought, I guess Brian's coming in. I haven't reached out to him. But
good morning. You know I'm here. Unless I tell you otherwise,
yeah,
I'm here.
Just yeah. But I appreciate it. I love talking to you guys about what's going on.
Yes, ma'am.
I had a kiddo the other day. He was, I'm not going to call him out, but he was saying how much he got back in his taxes last year versus this year. And I'm like, buddy, do you not know?
Do you know? Do you know about it?
My mom did it. And I'm like, well, it sounds like if it's that big of a difference from last year to this year, something went wrong.
Same employment, same roughly income. Yeah. They need to get that looked at.
Probably made more because he's getting ready to graduate, so he's working more and more. I mean, my seniors, God bless them, that are getting ready to graduate, they just work all the time. I'd say a high percentage of my class that's in my homeroom, they leave school and they're going to work. And they seem to have a really good work ethic. I'm proud of them. But they're just trying to get through the end of school. They're just like, Miss Vivio, I'm just so tired.
Right. You get to this point, your senior year especially, and
because they've got,
colleges and test preps and work and everything else. Yeah.
There's a whole lot of them that are just going into the workforce or they're going into some kind of trade.
Right.
And they've got a good plan. I look them in there, I'm like, what's your plan? I mean, I ask them and they're, oh no. I'm like, well, you better be deciding, that reality is about to hit you real fast in a few
Like
weeks.
a sack of bricks, yeah, for sure. And that is, I think that's more of a trend that you're seeing as far as what you're saying, like
Trades.
kids learning the trades, which, I mean, there's a great need for it. You ask anybody, we work with a lot of companies across a broad spectrum, and those that are in that industry and in construction and plumbing companies and electrical and any of those places will tell you there's high-paying jobs and there's a need there, because when you call somebody and they say, well, we can get to you next week, the reason they can't get to you till next week is because they've only got so many people that can cover the jobs that they've got already on the board. So, that was always our thing. I've mentored a couple of young people, and I said, 4-year college may not be for you, you know what I mean? But you need to do something that will equip you to be able to make a living in this world and be able to have a decent job. And that's learning a trade and getting some kind of skill set to where you can go and make enough money to live. And it's funny that you bring that up. I was going to talk about this a little bit today, and I'm not the person to talk about it, but we had our annual meeting yesterday in Nashville. It's our all-county meeting, and there's a lot of great information. I always learn a ton there because we have some really good speakers, and they were talking about the Alice project that the United Way works with. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I've heard it, and I've heard.
Ace would, or Catherine, either one would be way better to talk about this. But it just struck me, and you brought it up. So it stands for asset limited, income constrained, and employed. So the federal poverty level is 31,300 for a household of 4. So think about that. So if you're at 31,500. You're not at federal poverty level. And think about trying to raise a family of 4
I cannot
on $31,300. So
can't imagine it.
Roughly 14% of our area falls under that federal poverty level. That includes Robertson County. Now, this is the part that struck me, and the reason I wanted to bring it up. The ALICE, so that means people that have jobs, they're employed, but they're struggling to just meet their basic needs, right? And so if something does happen to them, brakes go out, house repair, anything that kind of throws off the monthly budget, they're in trouble. And so that number then goes up for our area specifically. I looked at Robertson County. We're about 47% of our county would fall into that income bracket.
Wow.
And so when we talk I know it was eye-opening, and that's consistent for Middle Tennessee. So it was like Davidson was 47, like Hickman was 51%. I mean, all of them were in that 46 to 51% range. So it's pretty consistent across Middle Tennessee. And again, Ace and Catherine would be way better to talk about. I know they've done some really in-depth work on this, but a big part of trying to get people out of that, I think, is workforce development. And that's something that the United Way seems like we're focusing more and more as we move into this year and beyond. And when you talk about that with our young people, I think it starts there. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of us, when we got out, it was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I mean, that's pretty normal for a 17, 18-year-old kid. But I think as expensive as things are in this world and the way things are going, you better have a plan, like you said. You need to have some type of plan, and that means you can't change your plan. But I think the emphasis on workforce development, not just for young people, but people that may have been out in the world for a while, and it's like, look, this ain't cutting it. Yeah. Right. Like what I'm doing is not paying the bills, and I got to figure something else out. And it's never too late to start that. And so I think you'll see from us, and again, they would be better to speak to it, a lot of programs centered around this to try to help people that may be in that range that we're talking about, in that 47%, get into a better career path so that they can make a higher wage and they can get out of that. Yeah. So that when one thing does happen, it's not the end of the world, and they have a little cushion to be able to pay for that. Again, I'm a young person I'm mentoring. We walked her through a budget, and it is razor thin. Like she has no room for error. And when you're in that zone, like it's an impossible way to live, because stuff is going to happen.
You bet.
We know that. Like if you have a vehicle, it's going to break. Stuff's going to go wrong on it. If you are living and you own a house, we know that stuff's going to break. Even if you rent, stuff's going to happen. You're going to have needs. If you have children, they constantly need stuff. The doctor's visits, the little stuff they need, the little school stuff that you have to pay for. Yeah. It's something all the time. And if you want to have any type of extracurricular activity, they're all expensive. So I think that's going to be a big focus you'll see from us moving forward, to try to help people get in a better place. And, one of our tenets is helping our neighbors meet their basic needs. And if you can't afford to live month to month unless everything's just perfect, then your basic needs are not being met.
Amen. Yeah. Amen. And that's just, again, as we're approaching graduation for the class of 2025, it's just on my mind a lot because I see an awful lot of kids coming from situations where the kids who have been in families, I get so tickled at them. My parents don't pay for nothing. They make me pay for my gas and they blah, blah. I'm like, good for them because they're teaching you
the world
while they've still got you at home, while you still have a safety net. And so I really admire those parents. It's hard because you want to make it easy for your kids. But if you do, it's going to make it harder for them later.
Absolutely.
And it's a tough thing to do when they're juniors and seniors. But the kids that are in my homeroom that are going, that I can just see them, they're going to soar. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, you got to start. It starts now. You that independence, and you know, I got a job the second I turned 16 because I wanted my own money because money was independence.
Yes.
And that's the thing. Like if you got your own money and you're paying your own bills, your parents can't really tell you as much what to do if you're taking care of your own stuff. So for at least for our generation, I'm Gen Xer, so we love the independence. We didn't want anybody telling us what to do, and so that was it. The money came for independence for me. You know, now I don't know what you're around them every day. I don't know what their motivation may be, but for us, that's what it was. It was as if we had a paycheck, we could kind of call our own shots a little more.
I don't think that they need independence because way too many of them are too much on their own as it is because they're at home alone.
Right.
I think they want the stuff.
The stuff.
I mean, it's just it's a commercial world. I mean, they're just hit with stuff.
You
all
see
the
it.
time.
You see it every day. Yeah.
They want the stuff.
Yeah.
And I wish it were a little more noble than that, but it is.
I mean that's.
We all want stuff.
We all like stuff.
But I think that's the big motivator right now. Too many of them want to be that influencer. They want to be that.
I can't even imagine. I see some of this stuff in my periphery, and it's I don't know, man. It's a foreign concept to me because I'm not supposed to understand it. I'm not in their age group, but it's just wild to me that it is very interesting. And I'm thankful that, people say I'm thankful that we didn't have that kind of stuff when I was young because it just, only thing everybody wanted when we was a vehicle. Like you wanted your own set of wheels so that you could get where you want to go. So I saved I started sacking groceries at 16. That's what I did in high school. Yeah. And I was one of those kids, I'd leave. I got out early my senior year so I could go work, so I have enough, and I was saving money to buy my own vehicle. And I'm thankful that part of it was necessity, but part of it, my mom, they wanted me to be, I think, on my own and learn how to figure things out. And I'm thankful for that because I it served me well in the world. But we all wanted a ride. That's what you wanted. So you had your own ride. You don't want to be bumming rides with friends all the time. And I had to do that for a long time. So when I got my own ride, then I could.
It's like, hey,
I can go wherever.
Ride with me.
I can go wherever I want
that's
now.
Right,
so, that's all it was about for us. So,
but it's going to be all about the getting toward the end of the school year is coming up so fast, guys. And I mean, United Way's already talking about stuff the bus. I mean, you guys were talking.
Well,
about
we already had two meetings. I already had two meetings about it, and I did want to circle back on the VITA. We just. The 24th was our last in-person site here in Robertson County, but we still have sites open throughout. I'm pulling my thing up here just to see. We have sites open throughout Middle Tennessee, Nashville, Clarksville. So when you go to Google, just Google VITA United Way, and it'll pull up.
You can do the online option too.
You can do online. That there's free tax. It is. Visit getyourrefund.org. So getyourrefund.org to file online. You'll have an IRS certified tax preparer there, and then also when you go to the site, they have the tax site. So if you're able, another one in Clarksville is running through the 12th of April. They have it at the Clarksville Library there, which is not far from us. There's several in the Nashville area. They will take you. You can come in just because you live here. It doesn't matter. They will take you. You can walk in, just have your stuff, be ready to go. But you can also do it online. So we were thankful to the Stokes Brown Public Library and to the YMCA here in Springfield that opened up their building for us on 2 different occasions, each of them, to have it in person. We want to expand that, obviously. We had a great relationship and did it for a while with the Board of Education, but our key volunteer there had done it for a long time, it's a lot of work, and was kind of ready to retire, So perfectly understandable because it is a lot of work for a volunteer especially. And so but moving forward, we will hope to have more opportunities here because we just think it's a huge economic boon. You just had Ryan Martin in here. I mean, people that get more money back, they're going to spend more money in the community. That helps our tax revenue. That helps our small businesses. That it's a trickle effect. It's a domino effect, however you want to call it, when people are able to maximize their refunds. And there's a lot of people that leave money on the table. And you're just talking about your high school student. I mean, I think that just from lack of knowledge or and then some of these tax prep places are so expensive. They don't want to pay that. And so this is completely free. Please take advantage of this.
I wonder if he can refile. I don't know, but it just sounds like there's something, I don't know what he would need to do, but I'm like, ooh, there's something wrong somewhere.
Yeah. I say all that. I'm going to attempt. I still haven't done mine. I'm going to attempt to do it myself this year. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
I'm doing an extension again.
Yeah.
I'm one of those. I wouldn't call it procrastination. It's just I get done when I got to get done when I got to get done. But we've done that with our business, and we've always been an extension filer and got in the habit of that. I probably need to cut that out. I need to talk to my tax preparers and. But I got to. Well, you still have to get the documents to them so they can file for the extension.
Right.
Which I haven't done.
Right.
Sorry, Kelly. But I'll get it done. What else you got for us?
That's the main things. That's the hot stuff. Again, like you said, we are in kind of, this is preparation mode. We celebrated yesterday. I do want to back to our annual meeting. A lot of folks that helped. I saw a lot of Robertson County people in the house yesterday, which is cool. We had a nice crowd. We had it at Nissan Stadium. Titans opened up their building for us and kind of let us use that space, like the big club level up there. So you had the backdrop of the big city. It was cool. But we celebrated a lot of our corporate partners that have helped us throughout the year, individual donors, our volunteers, just a really cool look back at 24. But more than that, it was a look forward at 25 and beyond and what we want to do. And obviously we have a new CEO that we're very excited about, who's been with us for years, and Erica Mitchell. She'll do a phenomenal job, and I think her vision is going to be, she was in community impact side, which is what Ace and Catherine do. And so I think she has a really good understanding of the needs of our community, not just in Nashville, obviously, but throughout our 9-county footprint. And I think it's going to be, you're going to see some really cool stuff from us because of that, because she has such she's been in the trenches for, I think she's been with us 13, 14 years, long time. So she has a really good understanding of what our community looks like, what we can do to help, and how we can serve. And I'm excited to go along on the ride, but it was just cool to celebrate some people that, without them, we can't do what we do, but we've been doing it for 100 years, you know what I mean? And it's people that give $1 on their paycheck. You know what I mean? And then it's like, well, that's not much. Well, it's a bunch of you that do that. And then you're able to allow us to serve and fund our partners, and make sure that they're taken care of and that they can do what they need to do in the community, so they're not out raising money too. And so that's, it just makes you feel good about what you do, makes you feel good about where we're going. And, it was just a good day to kind of reflect, but also look forward. And we got a lot of smart people that work for us. When I hear them speak, I'm just like, that they're passionate about what they do, and they could be working in a lot of different industries too, and probably make a lot more money. Honestly, a nonprofit, you're not going to get rich working for a nonprofit, but it's rewarding. You get to serve, you get to see, people in your community actually like better themselves and like the tangible results of that. And so I'm just thankful for those people too that are using their God-given abilities to help others, because
spiritual wealth is what you gain.
That's right. Because they could have done a lot of things in this world, but they're choosing to use that to help. And, we need more of it, obviously, but it's just cool to kind of reflect on that and see where we're going. And I think it's going to be exciting, and I think it's going to be better for our community, and we're going to have some good things here that, as a result of it, that we don't have right now. So we're hoping to add as we go.
I love just the concept of community impact. I mentioned to you when we were at HCA for my son's award last year that he got, that they showed us, and I forget what they call this room. It's a special display about the community there at HCA, and United Way was there. I was like, look at this. I took pictures and showed you, but it was about the community impact is what it was about.
Right.
And I thought that was so cool. And I say it all the time. I've learned so much about what United Way does, the bridge builder to the nonprofits, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
I really had no idea. I just thought, United Way, they want everybody to, so we can say we're 100% contributing. That was always the big thing back when in my early radio days.
And companies still do it. They're still big. And that's more on the
100% contributor.
That's on the company side, because they want to feel good about that. And but they're also helping us. I mean, it starts for a campaign like, when you have leadership with the company on board, that's the only way it really works, because they have to be passionate about it on their end, and then that allows us to come in. They're going to be more open to our message. And what I found is, even those that maybe a little closed off and have different perceptions of what we do or what a lot of people don't trust nonprofits, period. They think that they're, And so when we go in and actually talk to them and talk about real numbers and bring in our partners and say, look at what they're doing, like in your community, and you go, most people have no idea, and thankfully they don't, that world exists, because they've never had to use any of those services, and they've made a good wage, and they haven't had any kind of disaster in their family or any of those things. They've just kind of lived, and so they don't realize that all that stuff's going on. But I promise you, though, when you need it, you'll be very thankful that you have people like that in your community that are doing this every single day.
You better believe it.
And they've been doing it forever, and they're not doing it for money, and they're not doing it for notoriety. They're doing it because they have a heart full of love, and they want to help others, and it's just beautiful to see. But so if you get senior leadership to come and kind of give us that opening, and that's where that 100% comes from. It's like, we're going to participate in this. Yeah. And we always tell people too, a lot of people give to other nonprofits, and they're near and dear to their heart. They may have lost a family member to cancer, or the Heart Association, or St. Jude's, or whatever. You can still give to those partners, and we will pass that money straight through, and you still get to participate in your campaign. And so we look at it as a partnership. It's not a competition. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people doing good work, and we just want to be one cog in that wheel that's helping folks. So
some people will even say, well, I want to make sure that Jesus gets credit for everything I do, and so I want to make sure I go through the church. Well, so many of the nonprofits they work with are faith-based.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I never knew either.
Right.
I just assumed that United Way was all the ones like American Cancer Society,
the big ones that everybody knows,
or ones that you
Boys and Girls Club.
But they're not ran by a faith-based organization. Right. And for some people, it's very critical that if I'm going to give $1, I want to make sure Jesus is in it, prominently.
And
there's lots of them.
There's lots of them.
Well,
I mean,
Hope.
My father's house right here.
Right.
And so we just went through our funding cycle. That was the other thing. And we had our final meeting. I volunteered this year for it because it's always a learning experience. Right. We had our final meeting Monday to go through all the numbers, and the amount of work that goes in by our volunteers too. Right. Like, and it's not hours, but it's just thinking about it a lot and talking to these people. And it's not an easy decision because you have a pot of money that's this big, right? And then the ask is this big.
Well, yeah.
So you got to figure out the best use of that to spread it as far as you can. And that's hard for people because, I was talking to a guy, he's a banker. He was a volunteer. He's a banker at JP Morgan, right? So he's a money guy. And he and I were joking, but we were like, we're the worst ones to be on this because everybody that I talked to, I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah, we need to do that.
We should give you every bit of money you need to do this because it's like you're doing a good thing for the community. Like, check mark. They'll probably never ask me to be back because I was just like, give it all to everybody, right?
Have it all.
Yeah, we'll go raise more money. It's fine. We'll take care of it. But you can't do that because there is only so much money, and you do want to make sure that you're creating the most impact. But to go through, especially the ones here, I was not on the Robertson County, but I'm very familiar with them, and I talked to the people that were on the Robertson County, and it's just like the work that's being done right here in our community. I would say most people are not even aware of some of this that's happening. And then when you talk to them and you see what they're doing and the struggles they've had and how much of their self they put into it, and people that have quit jobs to go serve because they felt that strongly about it, and you go back to like giving your money with Jesus, like that, God has led them to this. It may not be a straight faith-based organization, but the reason they're serving in it is because the good Lord led them there.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you, that's the first thing they'll tell you is like, this was God's plan for my life. I would not have picked this. You know what I mean? And so, and even the ones that may not be faith-based, they're working hand in hand with a lot of our churches because when disaster hits, what are the first thing we think of? It's like, well, the churches step in and kind of start as a temporary, and then our partners work with them. And so that's when it's working right, is when we're all kind of working together. You got the business community, you got your nonprofit community, you got your church community, and they're all kind of joining hands and making sure that everybody's taken care of. And I think that's what God would want us to do, I mean, in my mind at least. And so, but I would urge you, if you are one of those people and you're just unaware, it's like, just stop in one of these places and go talk to them. And if you're interested in volunteering, I promise you they have stuff for you to do because most of them are volunteer run. They need people all the time, and it may be one day a week, help them, sort some stuff or unload a truck or whatever, you know what I mean? But they promise you they can use their help. We had the folks from my father's house came to our church a few weeks back and talked about everything that they've been doing with the renovations and everything. And it was just, I knew about it, but hearing it in a really detailed was just eye-opening, and everything God's doing in their work, but also like all the hurdles they constantly have to jump for just to serve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're trying to do the right thing, but it's part of it. And I don't think people realize it. But God will always provide. That's what he's doing there too. So,
yeah. And we're going to do a show with My Father's House. I've been talking to a couple of different folks about bringing them in just to kind of get an update for you guys on these airways as well. So we'll be doing that. But, you're talking about the ones that you didn't really know what they're doing just in the last couple of minutes here. Cope was one.
I love them.
No idea.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were there. They were kind of on the back side of the square. And my friend Lee Marie is the one who told me about them. And to realize I've had so much stuff to donate because of stuff coming out of my parents' house because we did not want to have a sale. We just didn't want to do it. And so just to be able to take their things that we can't use, that nobody in the family can use, that are valuable, and be able to take them and know every single penny that is raised from that is going to go to help somebody pay a utility bill, to help somebody feed their family, right back into the community. Absolute no administrative cost at that place. No. It's all volunteer.
Straight volunteer.
I was like, oh my goodness. I wish I'd known about this all along, and it's been there all along.
It's been there since the 80s, I think. Yeah. And I remember my mom taking me in there when I was a kid, and I didn't know. I just thought it was a secondhand store or whatever. I didn't realize. I didn't know what they did, honestly, until I started working for the United Way. I didn't really know what it was, but we take all of our stuff there if we can. And Goodwill, I would say Goodwill does some great work. Their workforce development is awesome. We partner with them. They are passionate about what they do, so it's no slight on them whatsoever. But
no, not at all.
I mean, if you're wanting to, I want to help people right here in my community directly, Cope is a really good option because, I mean, that money literally is going right back when people in the wintertime when the heating bill goes up and they're a little short, they'll help you. And it's a program. They're not just handing out money every month. It's once every 9 months. They can provide assistance, and there's documentation, and there's a whole process that they go through. So it is very organized the way they do it. But the goal is if you're a little short, you need some help, there's a place that'll help you. And the community is the one funding it because it's your stuff that you bring in that then is – and then people are buying it in your community, so it's really like a community base.
I love it. I just love it.
They're one of my favorites.
Model.
I'm not supposed to have favorites.
Me too.
But I got a lot. United Ministries right next door. Sherry, she's one of my favorite people in the world, and just what they do. But yes, that's just one example. And they always need volunteers. Hey, that's a good one. You want to just sit back, help them sort, and you'll probably hear everything that's going on in the county.
Yes, you would.
And you would ever want to know. You would be so up. You don't need Facebook if you're in there. You'll be up to date on everything. But they sit back there and knock it out, and you see them in there just at their world worker bees, just sorting all this stuff that comes in. And so amazing people.
Tiffany Thompson was telling me one of the best days that she had with her kiddos, because she'll take her kiddos out and they'll volunteer at different stuff. They're just an army. They're just awesome. But she says the day that I got to take my kids in there and they just got to take stuff off the rack and drop it on the floor.
I bet that was fun.
They were taking and going from summer to winter.
Changing the season, and
taking the season off. She's like, they just loved it.
They're
just dropping.
We get to make a mess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And she said they got such a kick out of that. So there's opportunities for your kiddos to volunteer in just all kinds of different ways around town. And you can reach out to United Way. How can they get in touch with you, Brian?
Call me, 615-780-2401, 615-780-2401. That will go straight to that phone right there because I'm very rarely in the office. But give us a call. We'll plug you in. We've partnered with Hands On, which used to be Hands On Nashville. They're going to be expanding to all 9 counties now. Their calendar will be expanding to all 9 counties. We have volunteer opportunities every day of the year, all year long. So if you want to get involved, I promise you we have stuff. No matter your physical fit level or where you're at, we have ways that you can get involved. So please give me a call, 615-780-2401.
And before I forget, a couple of things. Pride and Prejudice, that play is going on with Robertson County Players. Stephanie, Dr. Evans is in that. Also one of my sweet kids from Springfield I can't believe that just came out of my mouth. Sydney is in it from Greenbrier. And so I'm trying my best to get out there. I'm just not sure I'm going to have a night to do it, but I've heard it's fabulous. And so it's going, I think Friday and Saturday night, maybe a Sunday matinee, but reach out to Robertson County Players. Don't miss that play if you possibly can go. And of course, Vietnam Vets Day this weekend. Saturday is Vietnam Vets Day. Brian Wilson, his bride Dawn, he's going to be hosting it. I'm not sure if Dawn's a part of that, but honor our Vietnam veterans. I will be at the candlelight vigil tomorrow night, but we got some kiddos from around the county are going to be reading the names on the memorial. So we want you to be at the candlelight vigil tomorrow night, and then of course Vietnam Vets Day on Saturday. It's going to be a really wonderful weekend of just memorial time. And be sure and join us tomorrow. The girls are going to be in the house. I've got Rachel Culver coming in because we missed last week, and Katie Allen, I think, is still coming in. So we're going to at least have that. So it's going to be Faith Friday from the girls. Get ready because it's always interesting. At least it is for me. Have you ever listened to us girls going on Faith Friday?
Yeah.
We get into some stuff,
Get your stuff going. Get you right for the weekend.
There you go.
So, yeah.
I love it. And so I hope you'll join us. And thank you for joining us.
Yes, ma'am.
As always, Brian.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you
for having me.
joining us. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a great day.
Facing life alone, trying hard to make it on her own. Bills keep piling up while the paycheck stays the same. She never would imagined it this way.